My name is Marco and welcome to my channel, Modeling with Marco. In this video, we're going to be continuing our project to create a Pallet Town-inspired garden for our Bulbasaur. This is part 3 of my creative process where I built the base. Part 1 and part 2 are where I did the brainstorm for the concept and did some sketches for what that concept could look like. The type of clay that I use is from a brand called Dukit. It's a local New Zealand brand made in Palmerston North, I believe. So if you're watching this from Palmy or just anywhere from New Zealand, kia ora, shout out to you, you're amazing. Going back to the sculpture, I basically rolled these colors into sheets of clay, which we're going to use to lay out on our little canvas panel. Using the brown one first, we're gonna cover up the entire panel and then essentially just let that stick. Once that's all done, we're going to use a little brush to give that brown a little bit of texture, a little bit of detail to make it look like ground. And it's actually quite fascinating to watch. One of the things that I really like about clay is the fact that you could literally use anything as a tool to shape or mold or sculpt it. I remember when I was first learning, or in my early days of sculpting, just testing different kinds of things and pushing it into the clay to imprint a shape or a texture. And it's really fascinating what you can come up with. I'm pretty happy with this, so we'll move on to the next bit. Adding a bit of green layer, we're going to start doing the grass part of our sculpture. Same deal, we're going to lay it out and then we're going to slice it and then pat it down so that it sticks. Now same with our ground layer, we're going to texture the grass using the same brush tool to give it a little bit of dimension, just make it look a little bit more 3D. It's going to come together later on, but this is just basically building some foundations. Every now and again, I like to put Bulbasaur back into it just to kind of do a bit of sense check. How's it looking? He thinks it's looking fine. I decided afterwards that the grass part is looking a little bit too straight. So I decided to cut out some parts through it and use those to create some curves. I thought it made it look more natural. And in the end, I was pretty happy with my curvaceous grass. For the next part, I need to do a placeholder for the plant box that we're going to put eventually, so that I know how much space to allot for Bulbasaur to be in the grass and to be in the ground. I thought of a fun way that we can do that placeholder. Yes, we are bringing in some Lego. I actually got a bit too excited and ended up throwing some Lego at Bulbasaur by accident. Alright, well, don't like that. I love me some Lego. And speaking of which, they've actually recently announced that Lego and Pokemon are going to be doing a collaboration, which, to say that I'm excited, is a pretty big understatement. So the aim here is really just to get a general shape for how big that plant box is going to look like. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's really just something that will help me decide on how much space do I need to allot for it. Also, there's just something therapeutic about building Lego. The plant box doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to have the general shape. So this will do for now. And with that part done, let's see what we have so far. So here's our base that we sculpted earlier. You may have noticed that the green got a little bit dirty with some brown spots of clay, but that's okay since it's going to be grass and ground anyway. It just kind of adds to that effect, I think. Then here's our placeholder plant box, which is going to be placed over here. And finally, here is Bulbasaur. We're going to call it there for now. The next part is going to be sculpting the details of the scene, which will be the rocks, the grass, the flowers, etc. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching. Bye.